All right. Hey, everybody. Good to see you all today. My name is Peng, and I'll be moderating this panel today. I spent over 10 years working in the creative sector here in Kenya, from being a co-founder of The Alchemist, one of East Africa's largest music venues, which hopefully I'll be seeing most of you guys after the after party, as well as the founder of Hustle Sasa, a mobile platform that powers commerce for some of the biggest creators on the continent. I'm very excited to be joined here today by our three amazing panelists, Chimano, Bilha, and Edwin, as we talk about the digital creative economy. So, just to start off with a little icebreaker, I'd like you to turn to your neighbor. When we say digital creator economy, what is the first word that pops up? Turn around to your neighbor and just have a quick 15-second chat. Share it.
Hi, neighbor. Hi. Hi. I know.
Yeah? Anybody want to shout out some words? OnlyFans. Oh. Okay. I see where your mind's at. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see what our panelists have to say. Let's start off with Chimano. What word would you choose and why?
First of all, is it still morning? Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here. So good to see you all. And as Peng said, I'm Chimano, part of Sauti Soul. Over 15 years in the business. It's been amazing so far. We have managed to do a lot of things, set up a lot of businesses, set up a lot of capacity for the industry over here. So my word is consistency. So I'm supposed to, yeah. So consistency. Consistency for me is just when you're talking about the digital creative economy, consistency, it is just what it is. Consistency breeds familiarity, breeds, with consistency breeds research. Through consistency, you breed capacity, you grow capacity to be able to thrive as a creative in the digital creative economy. So yeah, consistency.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bilha?
Hi, guys. My word is empowerment, because whenever the artists are now enabled to be able to make money, they're able to feed their families, they're able to pay for their healthcare, afford housing. So yeah, empowerment.
All right. Edwin, maybe a quick intro of who you are and your word as well.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. As the introduction, my name is Edwin Bruno. I'm coming all the way from Tanzania. So I'm managing a company called Smart Africa Group. So basically, we are a platform of companies whereby we have 5 subsidiary companies, melting in business development in terms of software development, product management, together with marketing. So for me, the main thing, as a one word, it's access, because even us, we are working to give businesses and people access to information so that they can grow and unlock their infinity possibilities.
Awesome. One of the reasons I was also excited about this panel is that each of you represent a different part of the value chain in the creative economy, right? As a creator, as a distributor, and you have a conglomerate of companies, right? So maybe we can talk a little bit about what it was like from the beginning, right? What problem were you guys solving? How did you guys start? How did you think about entering into this area? Chimano, start with you.
I'm gonna find this awkward. Cool. Sorry, I'll just hold it like this. So our beginning, first of all, as I said, I'm in a band and we have 4 of us. So of course, I always get asked this question a lot, but then it's more so on the side of just a normal interview, asking about our how the band started and all of that. But how I will tackle this is, from the beginning, I will say from, I guess, our first gig, or when we had a proper first paying gig, which was our first album. Social media was not really as developed as it is now. That was way back in 2008. I finished my high school in 2009. And so that was the onset of Facebook. And I remember Facebook events. And that was our first time utilizing the tool that was Facebook events to invite people to our gigs. And if you remember Facebook events at that point, it was, people could indicate, there was yes, no, maybe. So you could indicate whether you're going to attend or no, or maybe, And by then, that was the first instance within which we could be able to gauge how many people we do expect at the event. And I remember it was around 800 people, and that was amazing for us. And that was our first album, which was called Mwanzo. Mwanzo means the beginning. And I think from then on, that's when literally the digital creative economy or the digital creative sector in the country started to grow for entertainers, for musicians, for artists, and that has eventually led to what we haven't said is that we're also creative co-founders of Hustle Sasa. So from that point, from that instance to where we are now in Hustle Sasa, where we have managed to have a whole ecosystem whereby as a creative you're able to monitor and to use it in all aspects of your creative work, from your shop to selling your music to curating your concerts to having a shop for your merchandise, because that is something throughout the years for us in the business we have had as challenges. So for us to be able to provide that capacity in Hustle Sasa, it has been a lifelong dream, and so far so good, and we're happy about that. Just to check so I do not forget. Yeah, we're good.
Very good, thank you. Bill, I know you started off working in dance, and now you're country manager for ONErpm, one of the world's largest music distribution platforms. Maybe you can talk a little bit about your journey and what led you to your path now.
Thank you. Yes, so my name is Bilha Ngaruiya. I am the country manager for ONErpm. ONErpm is a music distributor, a DIY music tool, basically a tech solution for artists, an end-to-end product. So an artist uploads music on this side, and then it goes to platforms like Spotify, Apple, and wherever you listen to your music. Our platform is free. Artists just go and open an account, and they begin their music journey, and we take a percentage of how much royalties they're making. Personally, my journey started around 10 years ago in a dance crew. Yeah, I was helping other dancers. I wasn't the dancer Peng. There were other dancers. I was just helping them figure out if they needed uniforms, talk to the designers, locations, things like that. Booking them for events and stuff like that. Interestingly enough, Chimano, we also used Facebook to find out which events are there and how to target those events for our clients, which are the dancers. It's also through Facebook that I also met my current business partner back then, because I was also marketing events on Facebook, because it was the only way to market events, and that's how my digital journey started. And several years later, I'm the country manager for ONErpm. ONErpm started in the US and is majored in Portugal. Yes, our main call to action is to basically help artists. The same thing, helping artists distribute across the world. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And Edwin, coming all the way from TZ, Karibu. Maybe you can talk a little bit about your journey as well.
Yeah, maybe just to start with the background. Yeah, so in the background in terms of education, I'm a software engineer, but also I studied investment for the same. So during the time when I was in second year of my university, where we are studying software, we find out actually in the market, especially to where I'm coming from in Tanzania, every software and everything 10 years back used to be like you have to buy things on the CD. There was no like originality of creating things. While if you look in the markets like US, you see other people are doing things differently. That's where I decided, like, you know, when I finish school, nothing's going to happen until maybe I'll become part of disruption. So within my second year, I started a company called Smart Good, whereby we started with the digital marketing together with software development, because software was something big and people they didn't understand. So we started with websites, mobile application, and things around that. and more pitching to businesses in terms of how are we going to, add value, not really looking into the investors part. Fast forward, we grew the company and become one of the leading software company in Tanzania, but also we saw opportunity into advertising because we see most of the company, they didn't manage their digital transformation well, so, and especially on the media part. And then we started another company, which was an advertising agency, focusing more on digital. And after 5 years, we become as one of the leading advertising agency in Tanzania as well. And within that, we say like, you know what, we need to segment the transformation of media and digital in Tanzania, but focusing in Africa as a whole and creating a story to tell and impact Africa and beyond. And within that, we saw an opportunity in terms of, there was a decline of, print, radio, and whatever at the time. And within that, we say like, okay, so if the print business is actually about to die, how about if we can digitalize it? And then fast forward, we started an application, mobile application called ONErpm, whereby we digitalize, we enable people to read their newspaper, books, and magazine through their mobile devices. And we grew, the company, I think 5 years back, we won as the best innovation app in Africa. And again, due to time, fast forward, we transform that application right now based on the need, because you see, okay, so when we look into our data, people are actually reading the newspaper between 6 a.m. up to 10 a.m. And then after that, they don't do anything else. So we say like, we need to add more. And looking on the publishing industry, then we had to say like, what about if we can disrupt the radio, if we can disrupt TV, but also there is a rise of content creators and influencers which need a voice. Then we say, let's put it together as a platform. So we rebranded it as a new platform, which actually we launched it today here in Nairobi, because we are expanding in Africa, and it's called Rifali. So now our new platform, Rifali, it's actually helping newspaper publishers and books and audio content creators in terms of putting everything together, and then we're streaming it. Just like the way they are streaming the music, we are streaming the content in terms of publishing, so that we give the power to the creators. So I'm happy to be on this panel, especially on the digital creator economy, whereby it's somewhere which we are disrupting in terms of digital transformation. And the digital, it's a future, which exactly it's now, we need to act on, and we are like to be part of it. Thank you.
Congratulations on your launch as well.
Thank you.
By a quick show of hands, how many people here would consider yourselves creators? Yeah? Okay, awesome. So this next question is for, to help answer for you guys. One of the things we've realized over the years is that it's incredibly hard to depend on just one revenue stream in the digital creator economy. Right? In order to be resilient through COVID, these economic downturns, you really have to develop a stream of multiple revenue streams in order to continue on your business, right, and your craft. I'd like to ask all of you, how have you expanded your revenue streams to become more resilient these last few years?
Wow. The creative industry, yes, was one of the worst. Oops. The creative industry was one of the worst hit during COVID. So, and at that point, when it happened, it was, of course, everyone was just like, is it really happening? What is this? What is our future? We're doomed. So, I think that was in 2020. We started our record label, which is called Soul Generation Records. And it was at that time where we took a break, generally from producing music and writing songs, to focus on artist development and developing new talent, because that was the window. COVID gave us that window. And also it was at that point, from all the resources that we had accumulated, we were able to do that and put some of our own financing there to be able to to start this thing and to be able to create a revenue stream for ourselves. Still, on top of that, it gave us also time to be involved with new ventures like Hustle Sasa, whereby we're the creative co-founders, as I said. Hustle Sasa, as I have explained, is a one-stop mall for basically creatives. It's everything just at the touch of a screen on your phone. You can manage your whole life just through the Hustle Sasa app once you open your own shop. Another venture that we literally started looking into and got involved in is we became creative co-founders of a streaming site called Shahara. So Shahara.com is a pay-per-view streaming site whereby as a musician or as a content creator, more so musicians and filmmakers, whereby you can put your content on there and people pay to view it. And for us, that was a way in which you can be able to monetize and be in control of where you put your work outside of the usual YouTubes and the rest. But this is a format that is controlled by you. You decide how you want to charge it. You decide how you want to curate it. It's all about you. We also got involved. We also started Soul Kids. So Soul Kids is basically about kids, children's content, from comic books to teaching African kids about their history, about what it means to be African, and in fun ways, animation. Having little festivals, just engaging children and their parents. We also got involved in starting Soul Active. Soul Active is it's under our banner, which is Be Well. So it's just about lifestyle. It's about wellness, which is not necessarily about going to the gym. It's also about mental wellness. It's about what you put in your body. And because all through our careers we've been very vocal about the importance of taking care of yourself, and we've led by example and done that. So we decided, why not actually find ways to monetize it.
Sounds like you guys have been very busy.
We've been very busy. I would say, I don't like saying this, but to an extent maybe COVID was a bit of a blessing, but it just gave us a bit some time to fall back and focus on the plans that we had been talking about for eons and years, to be able to actualize them. And because we had built enough capacity to be able to do that, and we had partners that we had identified and we could work with. Awesome. So, and up until now, we're still at it. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
And Bilha?
Yeah, so within ONErpm, our main business is distribution. So one of the things we've done within the distribution is figured out creative ways in which we can support the creators, that is for us artists, musicians specifically. So we do different types of deals. There are deals where it's particularly just distributing their music and supporting them. And some people just want marketing support in other markets like the US and the UK, and we have the capability to do that. Some of that includes content ownership. It's become a huge trend within the label and the music industry. So even us, we've dabbled in a bit of that. Label services. For Kenya specifically, one of the things we're going to do, because ONErpm Kenya is its own startup, is start a Dolby Atmos studio, which helps artists produce music in spatial technology and Dolby Atmos sound, which is a very competitive way. Other artists are able to deliver this music to platforms like Apple, but from Kenya or from Africa, only 3 artists have been able to do that, and they have label backing. So we want to support indie artists to be able to do that at affordable cost, and the first ONErpm Dolby Atmos studio will be in Kenya. So that's one way we're doing that. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And Edwin, we had an interesting conversation. You basically provide full stack solutions to businesses, right? All the way from R&D to marketing to production, et cetera. Was that always part of your strategy from the beginning, and how has that served you well over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, for us during the COVID time, it was a proving point that digital is the future. So for us, all across our 5 businesses, it actually helped to accelerate where we wanted people to be. And even within our business, we grew about 5 to 6 times our base in terms of clients, revenue, and everything in between. So when you look into the market, especially on our smart codes, which are a subsidiary for advertising. So now, since we are the one pioneering digital transformation, so each and every bigger client used to come to us like, okay, so now we cannot advertise maybe on print, we cannot do roadshow marketing and things like that. So it's like, we already have a solution. Everything can be done digitally. And especially in Tanzania, we had about 87 to 85% mobile internet penetration, which is a huge, we can say, advantage for us. So to push the content, to push their messages, and actually, even in terms of strategy, we push in terms of not just advertising, but more of engaging. Because during COVID, people wanted to be, to see that the company, they actually care about them and not just want money from them. But within that strategy, in terms of delivering either the product or the service of the customer, we manage also to make sure our clients, they have value. We work with one of the leading telecom company in Tanzania, Vodacom, which we do from products, marketing, strategy. One of the leading bank in Tanzania is called NMB, National Microfinance Bank, and the other FMCG, including Tanzania Breweries Limited. So even the platform or the brand like Tanzania Breweries Limited, whereby, people are not going out to buy beers and things around it. So how can we now package it together for the e-commerce of their own at which we can deliver? So within the marketing and strategy, it's actually accelerate that. But even in terms of the products which we are working on, the likes of which I told you, the M-Paper now, Rifali, whereby now people, they are not going to the office, they are not going to the gathering, they cannot go out to, get their newspaper or to go to the bookshop to buy the books and the magazine. So everyone was leveraging to get everything in digital. So within that time, actually, for our M-Paper, we had a growth about 150% in terms of growth, revenue part, and even number of active users, whereby with partnering with telecom and bank through payment, because everyone who buy newspaper or books now, they use M-Pesa or they use all, because we was integrated across all the telecom, so it was easier to deliver. Even at that time, our partners now, the publisher, the like of the Citizen, the book publishers, and the magazine, they were relying on the sales through digital, which actually for us, we're already there. So through all this acceleration, now they see, okay, everything need to have the digital touch. So with that acceleration, it's actually make, the business growth better. And for us, we say like, okay, so if it have worked in Tanzania, what about other market? So that's why now we are officially expanding to other market. Now we have started with East Africa, based in Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. We have already enrolled the publisher influencers in Uganda. So we push the product, and then after that, our other subsidiary in terms of advertising, products, and technology will follow. And we think Africa is off now. It's different, and everyone has, we can say technology have make, the world a village. There's no boundary as long as you are connected, and that's why I say access, it's everything. So we let the access of content to the hands of the people.
Awesome, thank you. For the next 2 questions, we're going to have agree or disagree, okay? And you have to tell me why you agree or why you disagree. So we'll start off with statement number 1. It is better to bootstrap your business than to take outside investment. How many people agree with that in the audience? Raise your hands. It is better to bootstrap than to take outside investment. 1. Okay. Who thinks it's better to take outside investment rather than bootstrap? Raise your hand. All right. And you guys, Chimano, agree or disagree? Better to bootstrap than to take outside investment?
Bootstrap.
You can qualify that statement as well.
Yes, I can. In my humble opinion, I don't think it's either or. Maybe it depends. I don't think there's ever really.
Have you taken outside investment yet as Sauti Soul or Soulgen?
Well, of course, in regards to Hustle Sasa, yes, but with Sauti Soul, it's we're just starting to now. So I would say it's not black and white in my case, that is, because in the beginning with the record label and just everything else that followed, it was from our own resources solely. But yes, I think in hindsight at that time we thought we knew what we were doing, because and also it felt like you have. You have enough resources. So, but the rate at which those resources were depleted was tremendous. So, there was a huge learning curve there. But I wouldn't take anything. I wouldn't. If I went back, I would probably still do it the same. Because it was a huge learning curve, and it at that moment we wanted to be in control of what we were doing. We wanted to be in control of the decisions we make for business, as opposed to having to be answerable to maybe somebody else. But then I will say, as you build capacity when it happens, with the decisions that you have made and with where we are right now, because we have learned, and at some point before the ship sank, we saved it, and we're now in the process of building capacity and involving outside investment, outside coinage from yes, and I think at some point as business grows, you can bootstrap, start it like that. As you build capacity, you can bring in investment once you have achieved certain parameters that you had wanted to.
Well said. Bilha?
I've been on both ends. I mean, so within ONErpm, we're not label backed. So one of the advantages that gives us is we're able to give as much unique deals as possible. For example, in Kenya, we give artists unique contracts that are very competitive because we set the tone. We can remove clauses that are in contracts like, standard in most entertainment distribution contracts, but we can remove them because they do not hurt our business or whatever we're going to do in this. But on the other hand, maybe it would have infringed the artist's capability, or the artist wasn't comfortable with it. So the freedom has enabled us to be able to be very, very flexible. So I would say bootstrap, because that's what we've done, and we've been able to achieve whatever we want. Because at the core of all of that, I think about values when I think about partners, and what values are they going to impose upon me. When ONErpm was started, our core values include transparency and supporting creators. So if a label comes in, I'm sure the first thing they want is to be able to take more percentages, to be able to do more heavy licensing on catalog. This definitely will impact the artists negatively in the long run, and especially in the Kenyan market. So I think about those things, and I see there's no positivity in receiving that kind of backing. Yeah, I was working at another startup for distribution where we did that. We started bootstrapping, and at some point, Warner came in and then gave us money. Our contracts changed, our tone changed, how we were talking to artists, our values changed, because now we were running with the Warner values as opposed to our values. So yeah.
I'm talking about needing a match between the funding and the values, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for you, Edwin, have you guys ever taken outside funding? Are you planning to? Have you thought about it?
Yeah, okay, so for us, or for me, it's more of, we believe on bootstrapping first, so that you can be able to showcase and to be investment readiness before raising. You cannot just start and raising. For us, we have not raised yet because we have different structure in terms of how we want to work. So within our 5 subsidiary, we also have innovation lab because we know that we are going to raise at some point. So actually 3 years back, I take a break from work and then I went to US to take private equity and venture capital at Harvard Business School. And then when I come back, I restructure the model of the company. That's why right now we have a group of companies. So within the group of companies, we have Smart Lab, which is an innovation lab where we connect a startup together with a corporate. So within the startup, we support, those startups which they want to raise. But we tell them, before you raise, we need to incubate you, for you to really understand what it takes for your business or your product to venture into different stages. We currently partnered with 2 banks and 1 telecom, which is Vodacom. Vodacom, we have run 2 accelerators, which is we had the season 1 last year. This year we are completing season 2. So for the startups which we have groomed last year, actually we have 3 which they have raised, and 1 actually right now they have just finished the Google accelerator in Africa, and 3 of them in combined they have raised between $3 to $5 million, and that's the pre-seed raising. So we are the ambassador of both. But before go to that raising part, they have to bootstrap in order to showcase the value. And of course, for us also within the Innovation Lab, we are pushing for our country, especially in Tanzania, to be investment readiness in terms of when we talk about, because digital investment and the way the investor they're expecting, because the products and services is not bounded just to one location. That means we are encouraging and we've been pitching, to the regulators to adjust different things. And even in Tanzania, we have formed what we call Tanzania Startups Association, which actually a day before yesterday, they have signed with the government a paperwork which now will allow investor to come and to have an open discussion based on the framework which is happening. So actually, I'd also take this opportunity to invite all the investors to come to Tanzania. And when they come, us now will act as Smart Africa Group. If they want to expand in terms of investment, that means through our Smart Lab accelerator and startup, we'll help them to link them with the startup, the ones which they own our portfolio, but also across the Tanzania ecosystem. But also for products and startups which they are looking to expand into Tanzania, pretty much maybe it might be hard, because even when they want to come to Tanzania, they think, okay, should we bootstrap to go to Tanzania, or should we, take an investment and go fully? So for us within the group, first we can help them to be part of test bootstrapping in the Tanzanian market. So we help them in, based on the target audience which they have in terms of marketing, product development, in terms of integration with either the telecom, the FMCG, the banks. Either maybe it's to help them with the regulatory framework and everything around that. We'll be happy to be part of it. So again, bootstrapping together with, raising, it's always a thing, because at the long term, you need to think about systems and process sustainability and to have a proper exit strategy, which of course it's allow investment in the future.
Okay, and our second statement as creators, influencers yourselves, and platform owners, it is better to have 1,000 true fans rather than 1 million followers on social media. Who agrees with that? It's better to have 1,000 fans than 1 million followers. Okay, all right. Chimano, well, you have both, so it's a bit unfair.
Jesus, I guess I'm always in the middle. So yes, I think I do subscribe to the notion that, yes, it is better to have 1,000 Peng, what did you say?
Peng fans.
Then, okay. But 1,000. Who's them? If it is 1,000 and yes, they are paying, fine then. That is a good way of, having as a loyal subscriber base.
Exactly.
But then, and it's with that you get to build to 1 million. Because it's just the same as we were talking, from bootstrap to investment. So yes, it is better to have 1,000. Actually, yes, it is better to have 1,000 paying fans, and also it's a beginning of your is it your career, your business, or whatever, whereby you have those subscribers who believe in the product, who are willing to go above and beyond to pay for it, and to also tell people about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Bilha, for you, what is that correlation between, the artists on your platform and how many followers they have on social media and their actual performance in terms of streams?
So I'm also going to do like Chimano. Basically, followers, well, it's a complicated question, so I'm trying to. Followers, basically, my friend likes to say, let's start there. My friends like to say, don't confuse your Fs, followers and fans. Followers are primarily just people that, are looking at you. They don't necessarily have to commit to anything that you're doing. They don't have to follow your music. They don't have to subscribe to anything, all of that. And then the fans are the people that actually invest. They come and buy tickets to your shows or merchandise and all of that. From a streaming perspective, whenever we are trying to talk to signing an artist or even from a label, how their social media presence really matters to us, because that's how they push their music. There's a conversion rate to how social media works, and I'm not sure about the data, but something like 0.5% of the people that follow you can convert to be your consumers. If you have 1 million followers, that's around 50,000 people. That's a bit more than 1,000. So if we limit ourselves to thinking about fans and disregarding the followers, I don't know if we're going to be profitable in the long run. Yeah.
And Edwin, what about you? As you're looking to onboard creators, podcasters, musicians onto your platform, how do you decide which ones to bring on? What factors are you going to be looking at?
Yeah, for us as the transformers in the business, we actually take advantage into both. Actually, currently, it's what's happening. So we choose both, 1,000 and 1 million, depend on the business model. So, for example, on our new platform, the Rifali, we look more on the 1,000 in terms of this. We treat them like premium. Because they have paid, we not disturb them with anything, we just give them premium content. But actually, for us to get this one, we also focus on the millions. So the millions, we are giving them for free, as a free content. But the business model is, they become the business, because we'll be pushing ads to them. So they will listen, they'll read everything for free, but now they become the product, because we'll be partnering with, advertising agencies in order to push the ads. But for them also, within that focusing of the millions, it's a time if they see the value of the platform, then they convert back into the thousands, which are the premiums. And of course, if the premium gets bored, they go back to the millions. So we trade the equilibrium of both, and time to time, based on the economy, you can see the test of both, and also depend on what product or what service. There are other services which focusly on premium, which you have to deal with 1,000. But there are other product which is for the mass, which you have to deal with the millions, because you want 1 shilling, and then to get 1 million. While this 1,000, they'll just give you maybe another 1,000 shillings, and then you get the million. You balance the equation, you get the same thing.
Makes sense. We have a couple minutes left, so we'll take a few questions from the crowd. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, over there, Steph. There as well. Is there a mic being passed around? If you can just say your name and then the question.
Hi, my name is Leanne. I am representing Payless. So Payless is basically a youth digital payment platform. So this is right up our alley. But then we're also from Energy Media, so like Energy Radio. But so this is so great to hear this panel speaking today. But what I was curious is, from your perspective, what is the future of youth in the digital space? Where do you see youth in tech?
Do you have somebody you wanted to answer that question?
Whoever feels compelled.
Whoever feels compelled? Okay. And we feel?
I choose Edwin.
Yeah, I think for the future of digital for the youth, because right now youth, for us, mostly nowadays we call them, Generation Z and the Generation Alpha in the future. It's more of looking on those untapped space. And since now our infrastructure, it's actually different compared to our elders, infrastructure. It's really an opportunity time, to learn and implement things. And I will tell you by fact that when you have these ideas, it's better as a youth to believe on yourself and build and go for it. Because if you go even to your parents and tell them, I want to do, the next digital bank, they're not going to understand. Even till today, my family, they don't understand what I'm doing. But my clients do. So it's depend. For the youth, it's all about we believe on ourselves, and we have pool of investors, which they are now starting to believe on the youth. We don't call crazy idea, but because the youth, they grown up in a different environment, so they intend to think differently, and they want everyone to go to the moon.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question. Okay, Dave.
Thank you guys for the panel. And my question is, what part of the ecosystem do you feel is still missing? I think a lot about small creators. It's very data rich. I can show you what I'm making from YouTube and TikTok and so forth, but I need financing for my next big thing. What can you do for those small creators that actually have the data to show their traction? Thank you.
You want me to take this? I could take this one. Yeah. I think if you look at digitization of different industries over the last 20 years, whether it's in insurance, messaging, et cetera, what we always typically see is somebody needing to fix the entire value chain, right? Some of you guys might be familiar with a company called Wasoko that does kind of like B2B services for FMCG goods. Initially, there was just supposed to be a tech product, right, that helps small retailers choose what items they need. And then they realized, even if they had that, but the logistics is not there. But then even if you had the logistics, the warehouses aren't there. And if you had the warehouses, the financing isn't there, right? So I think the opportunity and the challenge in these markets is being able to tackle the entire value chain through a kind of trusted experience, right? I think generally, as we see, the margins are quite small in any individual vertical, right? And Edwin touches this on a lot, right? He has a company that has 5 sub-companies in it that handle every aspect of it for a company, right? A company might come in saying, hey, you know what? I need help with product development for my new idea. Oh, by the way, I also need help with marketing. Oh, by the way, I also need help with distribution, right? I think for most of Edwin's clients, their clients pick at least three out of the 5 different services that he provides, right? So I think being able to provide yourself as that trusted intermediary to access different parts of the value chain is going to be hugely important as we move forward. Yeah?
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
In East Africa, the main thing that's missing in the ecosystem is the funding for creatives. Like platforms like ours have to get out of our own business description to help artists create, so that we can be able to have something to distribute. So if we'd have more partners that are willing to come in and give funding, because in other markets they just go into a platform, fill in, say for example, how much their Spotify is or how much their YouTube is and TikTok, and they get funding and they monetize on Spotify or TikTok without affecting my distribution or their ownership. entrepreneurship. So we need more platforms like that in Africa in general, but East Africa for sure. Yeah.
Cool. I think that's we're up for time. Thank you for indulging us the last few minutes.
Great. Let's appreciate them once again for the beautiful session we had there. There's normally a photo session after, so I don't know, because we are going to another panel. So allow me to. Photographers, allow me to crash, if it's allowed. All right. While the media team prepares the media piece for the London Africa Tech Summit in London, we'll be talking about it shortly, and then we introduce the next panel. Then after that, we break for lunch. But I hope you've gotten value. I mean, I had a lot of people asking questions, whatever they were. Thank you guys so much for participating in this. I hope you found the necessary value that you needed, and of course, our able panelists also delivered that desired value. Photographer, are we good? Okay. Do you want to take one when we are seated like this? I don't know. I would love that photo myself. Yeah, good stuff. All right. What do people do when they are here? Now we go.